Welcome to the Power of Love show, sponsored by the D.D. Jackson Foundation, where we shine a light on loss and grief and how it impacts our lives. We are here to provide hope, resources, and a community so no one feels alone in their grief. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Power of Love show, sponsored by the D.D. Jackson Foundation. My name is TJ Jackson, and with me is my eldest brother, Taj Jackson.
What's up, T?
What is going on, Taj?
Nada mucho.
Nada mucho. Today's date is May 10th. Of course, this is Wednesday. We are live right now. It's 1:07 p.m. We are live on Facebook and YouTube, but you may be listening to us via a podcast. Yes, each and every single episode goes to the podcast platform. So if you are a podcast listener, we strongly suggest you to take a listen to our podcast. Go follow us there. It is still called the Power of Love Show. It is still under the D.D. Jackson brand or foundation name. So just wanted to make sure each and every person who may be watching us on Facebook and YouTube knows that they can also listen to us at any time they want. One thing I would like to say before we get too far along in our show is our disclaimer. We are not licensed therapists. We are just ordinary people who've experienced loss in our lives. We've been impacted by it, and we have learned from it. And we like to share our opinions in an attempt to help you get through whatever it is you may be going through. Saying that, if you need professional help, we urge you to seek it, and to find it, please do not just rely on us or our guest. Yes, we have a guest, but we will, before we talk about our guest, me and Taj are going to talk for a minute. Taj, I guess the first question goes to you, man, is how was your week?
Very eventful. Shot a music video for a friend.
Nice.
And, right before that, well, that was Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay.
No, Thursday and Friday. Sorry, met Wednesday, but Thursday and Friday were the shooting days. But Friday was also Toria's birthday, my youngest daughter's birthday, but we celebrated on Saturday.
Nice.
So had a lot on my plate this week, but the birthday party was great. Went off without a hitch, and now that's under the belt. You know, you can kind of relax a little. But
Yeah.
You know how it is.
But
yeah, that was you know, my wife did most of it anyway. So, but it's just like it's still nerve wracking in that sense. But yeah, that was a lot of fun and stuff like that. I like seeing young kids have fun. And that way it's so different than, you know, there's no bills, there's no problems, there's no like social media really in their lives, right? At that point, it's just them having fun in the simplest things that they have fun. So it's great.
Your girls are the greatest age. They're at the sweetest age. And I think also as a parent, I mean, obviously parenting is beautiful throughout, but this age that your girls are at is so much fun. They're learning and discovering the world.
Yeah.
So enjoy each and every day, because it flies. It goes by so fast.
I've heard, and it is. I see pictures of Taylor, like, you know.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember her as a baby now. It's like she's just,
yeah.
Oh, by the way,
it's scary.
Sick, you know, of course, you know.
Taylor's sick
right after, but yeah, so that's another thing. But yeah, she's recovering.
But
you?
Everything is good, Taj. Everything is good, man. I've just been busy with family stuff, work stuff, creating some real estate stuff. So just been busy. Everything is really well. I have nothing to complain about. Been reading a lot, which has been great. Atomic Habits by James Clear. I'm only like 30 pages in, so I can't really give a true judgment on the book or a true review, but the reviews are incredibly good, and so far it has not disappointed. It's a fantastic book. Yeah,
interesting. They have an audio version.
Oh, I'm sure they do. But Taj, you could read this one. You could read this one. It just talks about how doing 1% something different better can really propel you after after some distance and after some length of time, can really change your trajectory on your life. It's basically focus on the trajectory you're on versus where you're trying to go.
Got it.
It's really good, really good.
Yeah.
But
I have a little more. There's one more thing I wanted to say. It's a little more on
yeah.
a serious note, but on May 3rd, we lost a member of the MJ community. Someone that
Oh,
was very beloved, Fred, and I don't want. He was French, so I might butcher the last name, but it's Fred Mazie.
okay.
And there's some GoFundMe happening right now because he left behind a 10-year-old daughter, which is always heartbreaking in that way. And
How did he pass?
it just said illness, TJ. I don't know.
Oh,
I didn't pry, and that maybe someone in the chat would know. But he was someone that was always known to dance for Uncle Michael and stuff in the past. So I'm sure he's danced for us and in that way. And it's always hard when anyone passes, but then when you leave behind a child, so that's what the GoFundMe is for to help out with that. So, and I'll probably find that link and probably put it on our socials or whatever, but just in general.
it's heartbreaking. Please do, Taj. Please share that. It's heartbreaking, and I don't know what else to say. That's just so hard to know, a child is going through, and a family is going through a loss of someone that's so important in their lives. And again, as Taj said, for all of us, Taj, myself, our family, the community, just sharing love to Mark. That's his name, Taj?
To Fred.
To Fred. Why did I think
Close.
Mark? I'm terrible about that, but
I know
really,
that's why I was teasing you.
It breaks my heart. So just sending love to Fred and his family during this difficult time. Their lives will never be the same. And that doesn't mean it can't be lived, and it can't be lived at a high, loving way, but oftentimes it's the support system that helps people get through these situations. So please try to support them.
Yeah, and people are rallying, which is great in that way. So it's just it's always devastating, as you know, T.
It's very difficult. All right, so Taj, I think it's time. I think we're good. Did I talk about we don't need to. There's nothing exciting.
Yeah, you said you were good. You said you were reading. Remember, you read a book.
No, that's right.
You're on the process of reading a book.
That's right. Okay, so we can progress to the next phase of the show, which is having a wonderful guest on. And today is no different. On today's episode of the Power of Love Show, we welcome special guest Jack Hazan. What's crazy? I just asked him how to say his last name, and I feel like I just butchered it. So, Jack, you may have to correct me. But Jack is a New York City-based psychotherapist and the founder of Modern Therapy Group. Additionally, Jack is the founder of the company JackBakes, whose baked goods are carried in over 100 physical and online retailers. Jack is the author of Mind Over Batter, 75 recipes for baking as therapy, which is available for purchase via book retailers, including Barnes & Noble and Bookshop, as well as online retailers, including Amazon, Target, Walmart, Uncommon Goods, and more. Jack has been featured in Time Out New York and the New York Post and has appeared on Bravo TV's Watch What Happens Live, and of course, the Food Network. All right, so here today to discuss his work and his book, Mind Over Batter. I love that title. Without further ado, everyone, please welcome Jack Hazan to the Power of Love show. Jack, hello.
Hey, Jack.
Hello. How are
Jack,
you?
good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm happy to be here.
Well, we are
we're
very happy to have you.
Yeah.
Jack, did I butcher your last name, man?
No, there's to be it's Hazan.
Be honest.
It can be a lot of different things depending on what. Yeah.
Jack, that tells me so much about you. That is the nicest way to say yes, you butchered it, but don't worry about it. I love it. Anyways, Jack, again, thank you for joining us. I love what you're doing, what you do. Very, very cool. And before we get into your successful endeavors, Mr. Jack, can you tell us what initially inspired you to go into the field of psychotherapy?
to put it, I'll give it to you straight. I got fired from my family business. My dad called me into the office. I was playing all kinds of games, and thank you. And hi.
I love it.
And I was like, fuck, what do I do? Like, it was well deserved. My dad didn't just like come at me and was like, oh, she was just like, this isn't working for you and it's not working for me. And this isn't your path. It doesn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
We were like, I really had to just get up and get out.
Mm-hmm.
And my aunt is a social worker. And I thought to myself, oh, I'm good with people. That's a job I can't get fired from. Let me just do that. I didn't give it that much thought until I got into like cut to the chase, right? I then enrolled in school. And that's when you get knee deep in it because the paychecks stop coming in. So it's like, do this if you really love to do it. And then the papers come and then you're reminded why you hated school. And now you put your chips on that table. Do you walk away and lose the bet, or do you just keep playing the game? And you're like, all right, I'm going to invest more time. I'm going to put more into this. I'm going to keep going. And I always had in the back of my mind, like, Jack, if you do therapy, do it differently. You can do it differently. I guess I was like, you can do it differently. Like, it doesn't have to be the old guy in the chair, nodding and listening, saying, yes, tell me more. Yes, sure, tell me more. Like, you don't have to be that.
Jack, do you think you would still be in this field if you couldn't do it in your own unique way?
No.
Okay.
I don't. I think I would have, because I wouldn't have been able to. I wouldn't have been able to. I wouldn't be able to do just talk therapy. It's just not me.
You know what I love about that, and the reason why I asked that is because it's just a reminder to anyone watching or listening to do what you want to do, but do it in your way and do it in a fresh way. Don't be intimidated by the way it was done in the past. Do it your own way with your own style, and it will set yourself apart as it has happened for you. So I love that. I love that you did that.
Yeah.
And we went around the room on my first day of classes, and the assignment was, hey, write on a piece of paper. Don't read it out loud, but write on a piece of paper why you want to be a therapist. Like, how did you get here? In a few words. And everyone was like, I want to help people. I want to help people and help people. They come to me and it's like, got fired and need to make money. Like, I was my professor till this day just remembers that. Like, she's like, I will never forget. Like, everyone was like, I want to help people. I've been through so much myself. And I never saw it that way. I saw it as a job that's rewarding, but it's still it's still my livelihood. I still have to make it my own. And and that's, my paycheck comes in from there. Yeah, sure, it could be rewarding, but I don't think I set out to be some healer.
Yeah, I understood. It's very cool. Okay, so you are also, Jack, the founder of Modern Therapy Group, which is described as therapy modernized, an innovative approach to modern life. My question is, what was the motivation behind creating Modern Therapy Group, and what sets Modern Therapy apart from other groups in this field?
Yeah, so like I was just saying about not being the taking notes and listening and nodding my head, to take a more active role in the therapy session, to be more direct, to be more goal oriented, to be less of a blank canvas and more of, conscious and slow self-disclosure, so that we kind of feel, the therapist and the patient kind of feel connected, and it's not just talking to a blank canvas. That's how I look at, that's my version of a modern approach to therapy. It's less traditional. It's more, I think it's more hands-on. And by the way, doesn't mean folks today that are therapists will just do talk therapy using, CBT and whatnot, and that seems to work. For me, it didn't align with sort of like my way of being, my personality to do that without being a little bit more direct and a little bit holding my patients accountable and engaging with them more than the therapy school would allow you to believe you can,
Yeah, it's great.
kind of learn, which is, yeah.
What is your long-term hope for Modern Therapy Group?
So right now, I have to say, I'm really fulfilling that hope.
That's
I am.
fantastic.
This year, like knock wood, I'm in a good place. I'm really in a good place. It took me a while. It took me from I opened up my practice 2 months before COVID. Sorry, 1 month before COVID. It was in February.
Oh
1
my.
month. And it's been just to build it up and to find the right people. And I have a good team. My hope is to keep growing. Right now, our therapy practice is in network with all of the major insurance policies. So you don't have to be rich to go to therapy. I've always believed that. You shouldn't have to be rich to get help. And so I'd be making a lot more if I was an out-of-network doctor and raking it in. But it's therapy that's accessible. And that's the other, people, fear from even the idea of going to a therapist. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to submit these to the insurance company, the forms. No one wants to deal with that headache. So they just skip therapy. And so we do all that for them. And so, yeah, being in network with insurance allows me to work with really everybody from all places,
That's amazing. That's really cool. And I appreciate you for doing that, because oftentimes people can't afford help. And not only with what you're doing, you're setting a tone to teach people that they can still come to you. So as you mentioned, a Modern Therapy Group does virtual therapy, which is really cool. And it's in a sense, and it's different and fresh. Is one of the things I think that was good about COVID is that we learned that we can get by. Maybe it's not the most optimal way, but we can do things virtually. How has that experience been for you doing therapy virtually? What have you liked about it? What do you think about it? What would be your pitch to someone about why you like doing virtual therapy?
Yeah, thank you. I never get asked that question, and I always want to share like what. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Look, when this whole virtual thing started, where you couldn't even go to the therapist if you wanted to around COVID, I was like, oh, this is going to be a disaster. You can't read the energy. You can't pick up on small things in the room. You're not going to be able to establish connection. All that stuff. I was just on team like, let's get back in office. One thing led to another. COVID ended up extending, and so I didn't actually. By the time I went, it was time to go back in office. I had already discovered for myself that connection, that energy, that with a vulnerable and willing participant, and someone who's able to receive that, it's there. It's totally there, and I felt it time and time and time again. And I had the beauty of having my patients that I had been seeing in person for 2 years before COVID, and then going virtual and seeing how those sessions progressed. And I compared them to people that I just saw for the first time. And the people that were willing to be vulnerable with me, that wanted to open up, that were willing to share and show up, I established the same rapport with both. And I found that virtual actually took the headache out of 45 minutes there on the train to sit in the waiting room for 15 minutes. That's already an hour. The therapy, 50 minutes. That's another hour to then go back on the train, walk to the train, 45 minutes, another hour. So people were taking like these 2-hour breaks to go.
I was just going to say that, one of the things that I think sometimes we forget is, there's a lot of things that hinder us from doing things, not just therapy, but just things and travel and transportation. and wait time and all that stuff is one of them. And I would assume doing it virtually, you really can lock in, and it's not going to be quote unquote a burden to your schedule or to your flow of life. So I think it's really cool, and I think you can really, like, I've been taking some foreign language classes virtually, and it's been really cool. And I just think that's a really cool thing. And again, that's one of the things that I think can help us going forward that we got from the pandemic. I don't think it would be, I mean, this show is virtually done now. Before the pandemic, we would have to go into a radio station. Were you just going to say that, Taj?
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah. So I appreciate you doing your part of that, Jack, and trying to, and another thing is a lot of the youth are growing up and feeling more comfortable doing things this way. They don't want to go to that office. They don't want to be intimidated by all the, all the people they see and all the decorations on the wall or whatever. They're in their own home. They can wear their own thing. They don't have to, they could be in their own element. And I think that's a beautiful thing when we're trying to be as vulnerable and open as we should be when we're in therapy.
Oh, for sure. So current with the times, it's, whether you like it or not, whether, everyone could have their own viewpoint on it. A lot of what we, I do too enjoy virtual therapy. A lot of our connection at least starts out virtually. It used to be you go to a bar, you meet someone, you give them your number, you write it on a napkin, your friend sets you up, a blind date, the phone call, the landline. Now it's apps. You meet people through apps. And I know that that's not perfect, but it gave everyone access to meeting people where you didn't have to go to a bar. You didn't have to, it creates a comfort zone that could then lead to connection. So that's how I see therapy. It's like, I'm telling you now more than ever, I have people telling me if I had to go into the office, I couldn't do it. I don't have the time. And I also, I feel more comfortable starting out this way. And if anything, you go back to the office, I'd love to meet you, but that's what people want now.
So cool. So, did you have a question, Taj? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I have two quick questions. One is, because I always ask this for people that do something different, like just start off and on another path, something that's always been done a certain way. What was it hard for you to make that leap in terms of like just going for your vision of what therapy was? And that's my first question. My second one is, were there times during that you were actually contemplating quitting?
So I will say I definitely lost a few on the way, and I was like, oh, like I would say last year, it was really tough because the numbers were way down. I don't know. I still can't figure out it. But it was like, I can't do this. I can't see. When I was younger, I used to quit things. And so now I never quit anything to just prove my parents and everyone wrong that I don't quit. So the truth is that no, I wasn't going to quit because I cannot let myself quit anything. But I'm telling you, man, it dwindled. I had this big caseload of people that were from pre-COVID where I was in person, and it just dwindled to, I would say I have four consistent ones from, so it was definitely tough, but I felt that was right for me. I said, going back in office is not right for me. And then I picked my ass up and I moved to Miami. I got licensed there. And then I was like, I can't be in New York full time and I can't be in an office. I'm going to just follow that. So I picked my ass up. I get to sunny Miami and I got licensed there, and all of a sudden my caseload dwindles. And when you're in sunny Miami and broke, it's not that cute. Okay. Sunny, I was like in sunny Miami and like, so I had to really figure out, okay, I started, that's when I signed on with the insurance panels, and I signed on with these referral networks, and I I beefed up my Instagram, and I found different ways of doing therapy. Baking therapy is one of them. Found different that people would be interested in to just gain a bit of publicity.
Well, first of all, before we move on to another topic, how could one learn more about Modern Therapy Group? What's the best way for someone to, if they're interested in being a part of it?
So y'all, Modern Therapy Group on Instagram or moderntherapygroup.com, and you could see all of my therapists' bios. They're all trained, very skilled, and most likely they are in network with your insurance. And if they're not, they will do all the dirty work of getting you reimbursed and all that. So moderntherapygroup.com, all virtual. And we have I'll tell you one thing, we have a little bit of everything.
Cool. Very
cool.
We
have a little bit of everything.
Caitlin has a question. She says, have you watched the show Shrinking on Hulu? Mm-hmm. Do you think it's helpful that therapy is being normalized by being on mainstream media? Hashtag end the stigma.
Thank you for that wonderful, wonderful, wonderful question. I binge watched that and just, I loved it. Between that and that show Couples Therapy on Showtime and the Patient on Hulu, as that was on Apple TV. Hulu or Shrinking was on Apple TV.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Hulu. I think it's like it's not taboo. I don't know why people still feel weird about saying they go to therapy.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a masculinity thing, because I notice it comes more from guys. But I just,
I was going to ask, do you feel females get worried or scared to say they're going to therapy as well?
I mean, from my perspective, no. I think women are the first to. I'll tell you, every couples counseling session I do, every single couple counseling is initiated by the woman. If it's a heterosexual relationship, the woman is bringing in. I mean, I find that gay men are very open to, I know I'm biased, but very open to therapy. But for some reason, just straight men, and, it's like trying to get them to connect to their feelings. And there's this stigma around, like it means something less.
Yeah, I think it's all those times where, as kids, they hear toughen up or stop crying or, stop complaining, stop whining. I think it builds up over the years and becomes a pride thing and something that they'd rather just sit with, unfortunately, because I feel we all should be able to speak and talk and open up on things that are bothering us. And that is the true way to heal. Okay. With all that said, Jack, I also wanted to discuss something else you are really, or I should say that you are doing, and that is that you are also an author. Your critically acclaimed book is titled Mind Over Batter, 75 Recipes for Baking as Therapy.
Yeah.
So before I ask, well, I'm going to ask two questions. Number one is, how did you come up with that title? Because that's very clever.
I know.
And then the other one is going to be, what inspired you to write the book, and what can readers and bakers, of course, expect by reading it?
I went through so many different names. And I was baking one day, and as I was baking, I'm talking to my friend, and I'm like, it's mind over matter. And I was like, making batter, or in my case right now, it's mind over batter. We're talking about like letting go of something, and I was like, it's really all in the head and your perspective, and reframe it, mind over matter. And then I'm like, no, mind over batter. I'm like, oh my God, that's it, mind over batter.
So cool. So cool.
It was great. It took me the idea, interestingly enough, the idea for baking therapy, that came from my professor on my last day of classes, because I was doing my JackBakes, my bread company, on the side to make some dough to pay for his school, no pun intended. And I was like, came into class and I brought everyone bread, and I was like, oh, I'm so sad I have to close down this business. And she goes, why? I'm like, because it's baking or therapy. And she goes, baking is therapy. And I was like, boom, oven light moment. Like, that's it. There it is. There it is. There it is. There it is. Baking is therapy, you know?
That's
And
so cool.
yeah, so so it took about 3-4 years, really.
What would you and as for anyone who's watching, you could see Jack and his book. There's a screen of it. So and again, it's available on Barnes and Noble, Amazon, Target, Walmart, all those wonderful places where we can get our books. Great cover too, Jack. My question to you: what is it about baking that is therapeutic? Like, what is the connection? Do you think between baking and therapy?
Yeah, and I want to hear from you guys too. Throw in the chat what you find therapeutic about baking, you know, because that's I always love hearing what everyone has to say about that. For me, it's a moment to create, but a moment to yourself as well, you know. So you're creating something in your own time and you get to share that with someone else. So I call it building community through carbs, which is in the book. But I always say set an intention before baking. Who am I going to share this with? Or set an intention with if you can bake through just about anything. If you're going through grief, right? I sort of feel as rushing to talk about the pure humanities. Yeah, create, which I really think creativity leads to healing. Like that's really to me how baking therapy comes together. It's like as I create, I heal because I'm taking my mind off of the thing I cannot change and I'm connecting to something greater. I'm transforming energy. What I used baking therapy for was I was so brokenhearted to lose my grandmother. And I would bake the things that her and I baked together as a way to heal and to grieve. And I found that through the aromas of baking, so if it's baking the challah bread, baking some Middle Eastern desserts, that smell transported me back to the time that I spent baking with my grandma in the kitchen. And that was really comforting to me. And so that became a way for me to grieve. You know, some people eat their way through a breakup. I say try baking your way through and then eat some of it, not all of it. I think having a safe space in my apartment was very, very, very important to me. Like the kitchen was my sanctuary. I knew that's where I had my boundaries. That was me time. And people look at self-care now and they think it's like bubble baths and getting massages, which is great, but self-care can mean more than that. But that like baking was my self-care for so many years, you know?
When you asked, what do people think, Toria put focusing on something else when you are overwhelmed and grieving. I'm such a terrible cook. Don't really know what I would be.
We both are. So.
We both are. So, but that's something. You know what though? What you would be proud about though, Jack? It's something that's on my list to get into more of and to do. There's like you said, there's so much that could be done when you cook. You know, memories and thinking and as you said, I love what you said about creativity being healing. So true. Okay, so Georgina, real quick, wants to know too, Jack, from your book, The 75 Recipes. What's your favorite from all those 75 recipes? Any suggestion?
By the way, I know this sounds weird. That changes from time to time. Let me show you a photo.
Hold on. Yeah.
Show it to you. I want to show you my favorite. So this is a recipe I would bake. Oh, now, by the time I find it, we're all going to be.
That's okay. You can look over it over time.
Finding joy. No. My grandmother and I would bake this together, and it's in the grief and loss chapter.
So how did you do the book, Jack? You kind of like separated recipes by different type of themes?
Exactly. So each chapter here, like dealing with stress and anxiety.
Okay.
And then each recipe deals with, there's little, I call it a quick session, you know, a little like, here's what to expect, what I learned about letting go, how do lobsters go. And then there are these fabulous recipes, the chocolate babka crunch. I don't know if you guys like babka, but I am such a Jew that I am a babka. Um, and then there is no, that I don't really love, like heaven and hell cake. To
Ooh.
explore the different sides we have. We have the devil, and we have the angel. Um, then this is the chapter I was talking to you about, grief and loss. Is finding comfort. Wait. Okay, there it is. Finding comfort, and you know these recipes for me are recipes that take me back to a place of comfort when I am missing something or missing someone or feeling reminiscent. And
Huh.
yeah. And this is my grandma's famous Middle Eastern dessert. It's called kanafe, and it's basically it's like a shredded wheat with a sweet rosewater syrup and a ricotta cheese filling.
So
And
cool.
and it just reminds me of her. And when I taste it, I go, it's such a beautiful recipe. I love
It's
it.
powerful. It's
Oh,
very, very powerful. I don't remember which guest it was, but one of the guests, we were talking about strategies on how to celebrate people you've lost, and one of them, she said, I think it was a she said that going to that person's favorite restaurant and eating a meal there felt like it brought them closer to that person that they had no longer had in their lives. This to me is even a step further for any cookers out there who made a dish for someone they loved, or got a recipe, or used to eat something from someone that is no longer with us. It's a very cool way to connect really at a deep level with that person, and that's a healthy, good thing. So I absolutely love that.
yeah.
Um, okay, so and then we have another question, but before I do, you know what? Let's do this. By the way, Cooper says we'll definitely have to get this book. Love that.
Yes.
Love that.
Yes.
There it is. Mind over matter. Um, this is another quick question that's a little off topic, and we may have to go into this in another
Yes.
thing, but
Yeah.
Sarah wants to know, off topic, does CSAT refer to certified sex addiction therapy? If so, can you speak briefly on what
Yeah.
addiction is and what it is not?
Yeah. Yeah. Sarah's like, let's talk about the fun stuff. You're gonna see, what's that about? So, Sarah, I will say, I hate the term sex. I hate the term sex addiction because now we're just like working through a label. It's an unhealthy relationship to sex that is determined by the person having sex, right? It takes up too much time. You're betraying someone, you're betraying yourself, you're missing out on work and friends, and you're also um, being super manipulative to somebody else and leading them on, and just you know but I would say most problematic is people's addiction to internet porn. And there's people that are watching internet porn not for like 20 minutes, but more like 5 hours a day, sneaking out into the
Mm,
other room while their partner's sleeping,
mm,
webcams, getting lost in all kinds of things. And so, you know, I think we have to look at sex as this thing that brings us pleasure. When it starts to bring us pain, what's going on? Drop the label, but what's going on? And right now, internet porn, people hooked on internet porn, I get so many emails because it's three things. It's affordable because it's free, it's anonymous because it's on the web, and it's accessible because you could log in at any time. And it's a way, so it's basically using sex and porn as a way to escape reality instead of celebrate and connect. And so I hope that kind of answers it.
yeah.
um but I don't think what you asked me what it's not. I don't think someone that is promiscuous is a sex addict. I don't. There has to be more going on there than just promiscuity.
By the way, my life, my hurdles, and my survival says I kind of want to meet him. Not gonna lie, he sounds like a
Um,
blast to hang out with. Are you known to be a blast to hang out with? You seem like a
course.
fun friend. You
Of
seem fun, Jack.
course.
And Denise says there needs to be more Jacks in this world.
Guys,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, let's get back to cooking and baking. Many people took up baking during the pandemic lockdown, of course, as a way to pass the time and put their energy into something while at home. Do you think what is it that what I wanted to ask is what is it about specifically about the act, besides the fact what we talked about, besides the fact that it was memories with the loved one, you talked about your grandmother's recipes. Is there something about, in your opinion, this is what I want the confirmation. Is it something fulfilling when you go from nothing to a finished product? Is there something about that process of succeeding something that helps us get through and become, in a way, therapy? Is that therapy? Is that what makes it therapeutic, or is it the actual act of actually cooking? What would you think?
Can it be both?
Yeah, I want you to say what because what I'm trying to get to is, if someone like me who's not really a cook, is the lesson that starting something from nothing and going all the way through and completing something, whether it's building a bike, building a ping pong table, is that what makes it therapeutic, or is it the act of cooking, in your opinion, that makes it therapeutic?
So good. Okay, I never heard it said. Look, you can add the word therapy to anything. Surf therapy.
Yeah.
Running therapy, garden therapy. The baking, the gardening, the surfing is the medium for you to commit to doing something, and like you said, completing a task without judging yourself, being intentional about it, the right consciousness around it. Right, I'm gardening right now to calm down from a very stressful week. That's garden therapy.
Yeah.
Some people use the word, retail therapy. That's relief by distraction, feeling good. I'm doing this thing makes me feel good. That's kind of therapy, right?
And you know what I love about that, though, is that the
Great
word, it is. And what I love about it is the word therapy, for a lot of us older people, a certain picture comes to mind. But with you and what others are doing, and I'm going to take you since you're our guest, but putting baking in there, it becomes, in a way, not scary, not fearful. It becomes something, oh, I could do this. And I think that's a beautiful thing, because you're leading people into an important part of their life through something that's not intimidating, that's something that's not scary, something that they feel they can do. And I commend you for that, because I think that's what's going to really help a lot of our society and a lot of people around the world, is that therapy's opening up, instead of just being, like you said, on a couch in an office. It's opening up in many different ways, and I think it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
There's so much opportunity out there to heal, guys. It doesn't have to look like right, going to a therapist and just you could do that end. Like, for example, like baking therapy does not supplement talk therapy. There's some things you need a, yes, I my poetry is therapy, but yes, you can still heal right from the comfort of your own room. Writing poetry is my therapy. I agree.
Yeah.
So you don't have to wait. It's also like you don't have to wait to get to the therapist in order to feel good and heal and let go of something. I think it's baking therapy in a way is almost self-therapy. Like she just said, like maybe writing poems is her self-therapy.
Yeah. Okay. One more question on, I guess we'll do this question on mind over batter, because it's relative. Care and Thrive with Dr. Lana says, question: baking is generally considered comfort food. Do you have any recipes that can be used by those who have health issues like diabetes? Love what you do.
Yes, 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 yes. Thank you for that lovely question. Yes, baking is tends to be fattening, loaded with sugar and fat. And when I just want you to know, when I was writing this book, I kept trying to do like clever swaps and use low fat this and use less. And the publisher was like, America wants butter. Like, oh my God, okay. But I grew up in a home that was very sugar conscious. So I just want you to know there are so many recipes in here. Most are easy swaps. Cookies, muffins, cakes. Use coconut sugar instead of sugar. Use agave instead, agave as a sugar supplement. I swap gluten-free all-purpose flour for wheat flour all the time when I want to lower my wheat intake. But they're total, like stevia. There's stevia for baking. I tried to swap that with sugar and say my chocolate chip cookies or the s'mores cookies. Or you do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. You know, you could do, like you could, I would say you might be able to swap like half the amount of sugar and keep the other half, if that works. I don't know if that works for you, but I know people told me I used a sugar supplement substitute and it came out great for half of the recipe.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay. One more specific question and then we'll start to close the show, Jack. But I'm curious, but we couldn't let you go without you talking about JackBakes. What inspired you to launch this company and where can we purchase your baked goods?
Yeah. Now that's one I really want to quit. Do not get into the bake. That is not easy, fabulous, or fast money. Okay. I don't know if there is a way to make easy, fabulous, fast cash, but one way to not get there is go into the bread business. It's a disaster. It's a complete disaster. So I'm lucky enough to have a commercial kitchen that follows my recipe and makes my bread. And I partnered with a distributor who deals with the pickups and the sales of it. So it really runs itself. We're in a few hundred retail locations in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, the Mid-Atlantic region, DC, Maryland, and soon to be in Boston. Actually, we are in Boston. We're growing in Boston. And I do different types of breads. Do you know challah bread?
I do not.
It's good. It's like a brioche. It's like Jewish brioche. It's like we do that.
I do like brioche.
Rolls. Yeah, we do bagels, we do rolls, we do pizza dough. And then soon we're going to be doing muffins and croissants. But every single 3 days, I threaten that I'm quitting and I hang up on everybody and I delete everyone's email and I say, it's real this time. I'm not going to continue. And then I get sucked back into making a new product. So
cool. Oh, I have a question. What is the must-try item from JackBakes?
The challah bread. The challah bread. Yeah.
Okay, you didn't hesitate at all for that, Jack. So that must
be. Try it. It's a sweet braided egg bread, like a 1 pound loaf, and it just makes the best French toast. Do you guys not know challah bread, or have you had it before? It makes the best French toast. It makes the best bread pudding.
I feel like
you had me on French toast though. That's one of my favorites.
Well, if you guys go to qvc.com, my bread is there. I was there last week. I'm selling my challah bread on QVC.
Nice.
Cool. All right, Mr. Jack. I guess the time has come where we close the show and we always ask our guests to leave our audience with something they want to leave them with. It can be on topic, can be off topic. It can be about anything you want. Your favorite song growing up, your favorite poem, your favorite quote, your favorite Netflix show you're watching right now, your favorite something you are doing that you want people to go to. No rules, just your floor. Let's say about a minute or so. Go ahead. That's the pitch. Go ahead, Jack.
As someone who sits and talks to people all day about what they're going through, one thing I want you all to keep in mind is that healing and feeling good is not out of your reach. It might feel that way right now, but it's not beyond you. It is not bigger than you. It is simply a choice to stay on the path, stay determined to your healing, stay focused, and feeling good, healing, repairing old wounds. It's all possible. It's not out of your reach. And it doesn't require some convoluted, it doesn't matter who the therapist is really. If you find a therapist that this whole like, this, try that approach, stick to one approach, find one therapist, if that's your way of healing, find one thing to do, put your all into it. And I think that will allow you to heal and to love yourself. And just one thing about loving yourself, I never really believed in the loving yourself thing. I never really quite understood it. It felt very like Oprah Winfrey bumper sticker to me. So start with this, love your life. And while you're loving your life, check in with yourself and see if you start loving yourself. Create a life that you love, because that really is in your control. But loving yourself to me just means too much. It's too abstract. But love your life.
That's fantastic. Love that, Jack. Love that. Jack, how can people learn more about you, follow you, give us all that information?
Moderntherapygroup.com. Talk to Jack on Instagram. JackBakes NYC on Instagram.
Okay, we have all the Instagrams at the bottom, at JackBakes NYC, talk.to.jack. That's all, another Instagram profile. And then the third Instagram profile is Modern Therapy Group. Facebook, right? JackBakes. You got a LinkedIn, Jack Hazan. Am I saying, how would you don't even use LinkedIn?
I say it Raisin with an H.
Raisin with, okay, Jack Hazan.
Yeah, but Hazan is probably the proper.
Okay, so maybe we're all right to begin with. Okay, cool. There are a couple of other things I needed to mention. There's a couple super chats we got, and then there's some comments I wanted to read. My life, my hurdles, and my survival with the super chat said, I discovered I love baking, therapeutic for me. Don't like spending the next 3 days cleaning up. And I'm not saying food solves all your problems, but I've never been sad eating cake. I love that. And then Tiffany Silent Siren says, hi, y'all. I have to have surgery on my dialysis arm tomorrow, and I'm just asking for prayers and good vibes, please. Much love and hugs. Well, we are sending you those hugs and good vibes, Tiffany. And then there is something else I couldn't just let go. Well, there's two. When we were talking about all the breads, Mr. Clarence had my kind of a comment. I've heard of white bread, and then with exactly that's where I'm at too. That's where I'm at too. Clarence, don't worry. But the fun thing is, people were talking about your eyebrows, Jack. And he could be. Georgina said you could be my eyebrow brother. Jack Love says TJ has some competition on the eyebrow game with Jack. They're loving your eyebrows, man. So
thanks, guys.
Very, very, very fun. Okay. Jack, you are a fun person. Again, I'm gonna put up these banners real quick. Modern Therapy Group. Go check it out. This is where you can get some therapy with Jack and his group. And it's a very, I'll say it this way, it's a very friendly way, I think, for people to start on the therapeutic journey. As you guys have seen, Jack is a chill, fun person. And a very important piece, I think, for a lot of people is to make sure you can rely and feel comfortable around someone. And Jack, that is you to me. So, and another thing Jack does, of course, is his book, Mind Over Batter, 75 Recipes for Baking as Therapy. Go check it out. All available on Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Target, Walmart, wherever you get your books. Go check out Jack's Mind Over Batter. All right. I think that is it. Taj, did I miss anything, my man?
No, this was very informative. So thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
Jack, next time you have any book or anything you're doing going forward, or maybe even to talk about the CSAT stuff, You just
That's
let
a
us.
whole nother episode.
Well, we
That's
may have to have that one because
the whole
I think
journey.
a lot of people need to learn about all different types of things, and that can help us. So, but until next time, Jack, we want to thank you and bless
Yes.
you with everything you got going on. Thank you for doing your part in healing our world.
Yeah.
For everyone watching, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for the super chats.
Thank you.
And that's it. We will be back next Wednesday at 1:00. Adios, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.